Ferrari just pulled the trigger on an engine upgrade they were not supposed to reveal until later in the season, and is happening days before the first race in Australia. Not mid-season, not after data from 3 races. Right now, leaked performance simulations suggest the new SF-26 power unit package could be worth nearly 4/10 per lap. 4/10 at round 1. That is the difference between fighting for the podium and controlling the championship narrative from the very start. A redesigned 067/6 with a smaller turbo to eliminate lag. Hybrid mapping built specifically for 40-degree track temperatures in Melbourne. And straight-line gains of up to 12 kilometers per hour, already spotted in testing. But here is the part nobody is ready for. If Ferrari's numbers are real, Red Bull is suddenly defending, not attacking. And if they are wrong, Ferrari just exposed their biggest weapon too early. This is not just an upgrade. It is a statement. It is a risk. And it could decide who owns the psychological edge before the season even properly begins. Subscribe now, because what Ferrari is about to unleash in Australia might change the balance of power before lap 1 is even complete. Now, let's slow this down because the headline sounds dramatic. But the real story is buried in the details Ferrari did not shout about. In Bahrain, Ferrari did not chase the fastest lap. They did not empty the fuel tank for a flashy time sheet moment. Instead, they ran distance. Relentless distance. Over 4,000 kilometers completed across pre-season testing without a single major mechanical failure. That is not luck. That is preparation. And in the second week alone, they pushed beyond 400 laps of pure data collection. No drama, no smoke, just consistency. That tells you something very important. The 067/6 engine is not just powerful. It is stable. And stability at the start of a season is a weapon. But here is where the story becomes serious. During long-run simulations, Lewis Hamilton completed an 18-lap stint with almost perfectly linear tire degradation. Calm drop-off. Predictable performance. No sudden collapse. That suggests Ferrari's energy regeneration system is operating at a higher efficiency window than last year. More recovered energy under braking. More controlled deployment on exit. And that matters enormously in Australia, because Albert Park punishes poor energy management. Long acceleration zones. Heavy braking events. Repeated traction demands. If the turbo lags even slightly, you lose momentum. If the battery clips too early, you become vulnerable on the straight. Ferrari's smaller turbine is designed specifically to eliminate that hesitation in lower gears. Sharper response, immediate torque, cleaner exits. In Bahrain telemetry, that translated into measurable gains out of slow corners compared to key rivals. And Melbourne has multiple corners where that exact trait becomes decisive. But this is not just about speed. It is about temperature. Australia often sees track temperatures pushing beyond 40 degrees Celsius. High heat exposes hybrid systems. Batteries overheat. Deployment drops. Ferrari has refined the mapping of the hybrid unit to smooth the release of energy over a full lap. Less aggressive spikes. More sustained boost. That means fewer moments where the driver presses the throttle and feels nothing. And that feeling, that half second of hesitation, is what costs positions. Now here is something even more interesting. Internally, Ferrari believes this Melbourne specification is worth close to 4/10 compared to their Bahrain baseline. 4/10 at the first race of the year is not incremental development, is strategic positioning. Because if they arrive in Australia already ahead in qualifying trim, they control track position. And in modern Formula One, track position is power. But there is tension inside that optimism. Rear tire degradation showed signs of weakness during hotter simulations. Around lap 12, performance began to soften. Not dramatically, but noticeably, which means Ferrari's advantage may depend on how disciplined the drivers are with throttle application early in a stint. Push too hard, overheat the rears, and that engine advantage becomes irrelevant. And here is the psychological layer. Ferrari is not waiting to see what Red Bull does. They are forcing Red Bull to respond. They are showing confidence before a single championship point has been awarded. That sends a message. We are ready now. Not later. Not mid-season. Now. But bold moves create pressure. If the numbers hold in Melbourne, Ferrari becomes the reference. If they do not, critics will say they revealed too much too soon. So as we get closer to lights out in Australia, remember this. The story is not just about horsepower. It is about response. It is about heat management. It is about efficiency under stress. And the smallest detail, hidden inside that 067/6 engine, might decide whether Ferrari starts this season as hunters or as leaders. But now we move into the part Ferrari did not openly confirm, yet everyone in the paddock is talking about. Because the engine upgrade does not operate in isolation, is integrated into a wider rear-end philosophy that could redefine how the SF-26 behaves under pressure. Let's talk about the diffuser. Ferrari expanded the allowable volume near the rear crash structure, pushing the geometry right to the regulatory limit. Legally, precisely. And here is the clever part. The hot exhaust gases from the 067/6 are now being used more aggressively to energize airflow through that expanded diffuser channel. Hot air accelerates faster. Faster air increases extraction. In simple terms, the rear of the car sticks better in medium speed corners without adding excessive drag on the straight. Computational analysis suggests up to 15% more effective airflow in that region. Translated into lap time, that is roughly 1.5 tenths. On its own, that is solid. Combined with sharper engine response and improved hybrid deployment, it becomes something much more powerful. It becomes balance. And balance wins championships. But Ferrari did not stop there. The rear wing concept, the pivot central system, changes how drag reduction behaves entirely. When activated, the upper flap rotates from the center axis rather than hinging from the edge. That creates a significantly larger airflow gap, less resistance, higher terminal velocity. In Bahrain, speed traps recorded figures approaching 348 kilometers per hour, already competitive, and that was before the full Melbourne configuration. But here is what makes it dangerous. When the system closes, down force does not snap back abruptly. It builds progressively. That gives drivers stability under braking, confidence into heavy stopping zones. Hamilton reportedly gained measurable time by braking several meters later into turn 1 during simulation. Those small gains accumulate over a lap, and in qualifying, that could mean pole position. Now think about Melbourne specifically. Albert Park is not just about raw speed. It is about rhythm, precision, flow between medium speed corners where rear stability matters more than peak downforce. If Ferrari has genuinely improved rear load consistency, they may not just be fast in a straight line. They may be calm through Sector 2, and calm cars allow drivers to attack. But this is where pressure increases, because rivals are already studying this concept. If Ferrari shows dominant straight-line speed combined with corner stability, regulatory scrutiny increases immediately. The governing body always monitors innovation that shifts competitive balance. So Ferrari faces a delicate equation. Win big and attract political heat. Underperform and hand psychological momentum to Red Bull. There is no comfortable middle. And inside the garage, another layer is developing. Hamilton appears to have adapted quickly to the new energy deployment rhythm. Leclerc remains devastating over one lap. That combination could be explosive or complicated, because if the car rewards energy discipline over raw aggression, experience becomes decisive. And that dynamic could shape internal hierarchy sooner than expected. Which brings us back to the bigger picture. Ferrari did not need to bring this level of refinement to round 1. They chose to. They believe Australia is an opportunity to control narrative, an opportunity to force rivals into early development reactions, an opportunity to make a statement before the championship settles. And statements in Formula One are rarely accidental. So as we approach the Australian Grand Prix, remember this. The SF-26 is not just upgraded, is coordinated. Engine response, hybrid efficiency, thermal stability, aerodynamic synergy, each component reinforcing the other. If it works, Ferrari does not just win a race. They shift the direction of the season. If it fails, they reveal their blueprint too soon. And that is why Melbourne is no longer just the first Grand Prix. It is the first real verdict on whether Ferrari's engine gamble was visionary or premature.